Moved on to RPRs, real property reports, and so what's a real property report?
Well, a real property report is a document that verifies that the buildings are located within the boundaries of the property,
Okay.
and that they comply with the municipal requirements of setback. So the standard default provision in our purchase contracts is that the seller has to provide a real property report showing the current state of improvements on the property and evidence in the municipal compliance stamp. A buyer's lawyer really should not be paying money to the
Okay.
seller until such time as they see the evidence that the buildings are located where they should be.
Okay, so what are kind of red flags to look out for on an RPR?
There could be many, but the first thing when I receive an RPR is make sure that there are no obvious encroachments.
Okay.
That the fences appear to be on the property boundaries, do not encroach into utility right-of-ways. The second thing, obviously, and I have to do that in conjunction with the client, is verify that the real property report that was provided continues to reflect the current state of improvements.
Exactly.
So there's no age limit on RPRs, by the way. RPRs could be as old as 1988, 1989. So long as nothing has changed on that property, that document will still be valid for closing today. So the buyer has to review that, or my buyer's realtor has to review that to verify that nothing appears to have changed on the property since that survey was done.
Okay, so nobody really physically goes and looks at the property. I guess they just rely on the realtor, buyer's agent?
Well, the buyer, well, I don't go and look at the
Yeah.
property. I don't ever see the property. So I'm relying, when my buyer comes in, typically buyers will come in and meet with me about a week before possession day. Hopefully we received the transfer of land package from the current owner's lawyers. Hopefully we have that real property report to look at. I will review it with my buyer, and I will specifically point out fences and decks and AC units and ask them, is there anything missing? If they tell me that they're comfortable that that's the way it is, they sign a declaration that they've reviewed it,
Okay.
and that nothing appears to be missing. That's to protect me. If they tell me that something appears to be missing, then we go back to the seller's lawyer and we demand an update
Okay.
for closing.
So I've got another quick question as well. You know, a lot of new builders these days are offering something called title insurance instead of an RPR. What is title insurance?
Well, first of all, the reason builders do that is to save on their costs.
Yeah, exactly.
And the new home construction contracts do not have the same RPR provisions in them that the resale contracts have. So because they can buy title insurance cheaper, that's why they offer title insurance in lieu of an RPR. A buyer would always be well advised, if the builder isn't contractually obligated to provide an RPR, the buyer would be well advised to do their own, just to
Okay.
verify that the buildings are located where they should be, because they will need it for resale purposes. And there's a limited length of time that they can actually pursue a claim against the builder if the builder hasn't constructed the buildings correctly or within the property boundary.
Okay, so it's good to know.
Title insurance is something that's utilized in jurisdictions in the province, smaller cities, Fort McMurray, smaller towns north of Alberta, where the cost of getting an RPR done by a surveyor is cost prohibitive. So a policy has evolved, or a custom has evolved, where people will close with title insurance in lieu of an RPR.
Okay.
But title insurance, like any insurance,
me.
just gives you the ability to pursue a claim for compensation if you discover that there is a building location problem down the road. Frankly, an RPR tells you, black and white, whether there are any problems.
Exactly,
A
yeah.
title insurance just gives you the ability to try to get compensation if you discover down the road that there is a problem. In my view, an RPR is always the preferred avenue to go, unless you're really dealing with a property in a community where it's just not feasible to secure one.
Okay, brilliant.
In large municipalities, Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer, Lethbridge, there should be no reason for anybody to close a deal without an RPR.
Okay, brilliant, good to know. So finally, do you need a lawyer to close a deal?
Yeah, actually you do. There used to be a time in this province where the buyer and the seller could meet at the land title's office, and the buyer could pay the seller the money, and they could wait while land titles transferred the ownership on the books. It was all done in handwriting.
Wow.
And so before we had computers, they could transfer the title within 5 minutes.
Wow.
Now, in this new day and age that we have computers, it takes 2 weeks.
Wow.
So unless the buyer and the seller were prepared to camp out at the land title's office lobby and wait the 2 weeks while the title is being transferred, while they're waiting for that to happen, they need a lawyer. Because the lawyers will deal with closings of documents on what we call trust conditions. The seller's lawyer will deliver the transfer of land to the buyer's lawyer in advance,
Okay.
imposing certain conditions on the use of that document, and be able to protect the seller that if the transfer of land is used, the seller will be paid. The buyer then, in receiving the transfer of land, has to make sure that he's got the ability to pay the purchase price before he submits that transfer of land to land titles. As a result, both parties are protected. The seller, in retaining their lawyer, is protected to receive the money from the sale. the buyer in retaining their lawyer is protected to make sure they get good title
Okay, brilliant.
after they
Yeah.
pay the purchase price. So both parties are protected by lawyers, and the nice mechanism is that it doesn't have to happen all at the same time, that through trust conditions between lawyers, that process can take as long as it needs.
Brilliant, that's good to know. So how long have you been a lawyer?
You know what, close to 35 years now. Yeah.
Always doing real estate? Is that all you do, just real estate law?
Almost exclusively residential real estate law.
Yeah.
On average, we close around 100 transactions per month.
Wow.
So you look at about 1,200, 1,400 per year, times 35, probably a small city,
Wow.
where I've done every little transaction.
That's good, pretty.
Yeah.
So it's good to know you do real estate full time, you know?
It's good to have a specialist no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need a good litigation lawyer, I would recommend a litigation lawyer who goes to court. The law is becoming so complex, and there's just so many twists and turns that one lawyer just cannot be an expert in everything.
Exactly, and I agree with that.
Yeah, so you want to hire a lawyer that knows what they're doing in a particular area of law, and if it happens to be residential real estate, give me a call, we'll be happy to help.
So you're not like a full-time mechanic, you do real estate law on the side, you don't do that?
No, I don't do that. I don't close deals from my basement.
Okay, that's good to know, that's good to know.
I do meet with all my clients.
Yeah.
If I'm in the city, I will meet with my clients. If I'm not here, we have a law firm that's big enough that other lawyers can cover for me. You want to be careful using a lawyer that won't even meet with you when you end up needing assistance.
Wow.
I think if you want to have a lawyer represent you, you want to meet the lawyer.
Brilliant, which I totally agree with you, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I dress casual. I try to make my clients comfortable. You know, I've learned the more gray hair I have, I don't have to impress clients with a suit anymore.
That's good.
Not to diminish your
No,
outfit.
that's good to know, yeah. Yeah.
So, you know what, practicing residential real estate law is a happy practice. You know, I like it because most sellers and buyers are happy to be doing a residential real estate deal. It's not like my matrimonial partners down the hall where they have to reorder Kleenexes all the time.
Wow. Sad, yeah, it's tough.
Not that happy
Yeah.
a practice, but to each his own.
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure my matrimonial partners wouldn't want to touch a residential real estate deal, but because you just build up a comfort level in a particular area, and you know what you're doing, and you just continue with it.
Exactly, and I think that's the best way it should be, you know?
Yeah.
And try to work with a guy that's a jack of all trades, you know? So,
Anyway, I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
And I appreciate
today.
it.
Yeah, and best of luck